Hello and welcome to a rather dark and dingy episode, I've got to look again, 136 of the Mouses Makes Knitting podcast. My name is Mandy, sometimes known as Mouse. It is very dark and dingy today because the sun's out and it's 3:20 on Tuesday afternoon, the 14th of May. And I normally would have recorded this first thing in the morning before the sun came round this far, but I was out this morning. I had to go for a blood test. Then Ewan, my youngest son, and he'd given me a lift to the blood test, went and had brunch. Then I met my friend for coffee, and now it's later in the afternoon and the sun has worked its way round and is coming directly into this room, and it's way too bright and also too hot if I don't close the blind. So that explains the dark and dinginess. I have put the lamp on and I think that's helped. It's a bit hard for me to tell because the screen on my phone has got the adaptive brightness on, so I can't really tell because it's lowered the screen brightness because the light is lower. Did that make sense? I'm going to say it again, I haven't got much to show you this week because I've spent a lot of time dyeing yarn and packing orders, so thank you very, very much. The gradient sets were very popular and I have some more planned for the next shop update. And I also have a couple more patterns planned to use the gradient sets with, so there'll be some casting on again. Judge not. We were talking in the group chat, my friends and I were talking about whip numbers, how many whips we have, and for some bizarre cosmic reason lots of us have got decade birthdays this year. Some of us are turning 40, some of us are turning 50, some of us are turning 60, and I said that we ought to have the same number of whips as the birthday age that we're turning. So yeah, I need to cast on many more things, and that's my excuse. They'll get worked on eventually. Yeah. I opened the floodgates by casting on some new things, didn't I? And now I've thrown caution to the wind and I'm just casting things on. They're shop samples, okay? They're shop samples. Right. Shall I start whittering on and trying to justify my cast on obsession? Actually, before I do, I must just say, hospital visit last week went very well. Everything is fine. Still got kidney failure, but it's not getting any worse, so that's a good thing. Managed to lose a little bit of weight, also a good thing. And I've just walked back from the bottom of town, which is further than I've walked in 5 years, which sounds like a small achievement, but I know some of you watching will understand that that has been a huge thing for me. My mobility has been so poor and just nosedived, with me being so ill, and then the pandemic, and then I continued being very, very ill, and my mobility has just got worse and worse and worse. And I now have my own personal trainer. He's free. His name is Ewan, and he's got me on I don't want to say a diet, healthy eating plan, basically. Nothing is forbidden. I just have to end the day in a calorie deficit. So, for example, today we went and we had a brunch, and that was really, really nice, but it was more calories than I would normally have eaten for lunch. So I wanted to walk back to burn off some of those calories, to take more exercise than I would ordinarily be doing. And I was actually physically capable of doing it, which honestly I can't I'm only telling you about it because I'm so pleased. I'm so excited. I've been working towards it for, well, a couple of years, and then there was the problem with my heart last summer that put me in bed and I couldn't exercise at all, and my heart rate still shoots up for no reason at all, so I have to be a little bit careful. But I just want to be able to do, I don't want to run a marathon, I just want to do what normal people do and walk back from the shops, you know. So I've done that today. I'll probably be asleep by 7 o'clock, but hey, I did it. So I've completely forgotten what set me off on that rant. It wasn't really a rant, you know what I mean. Tangent. No, whatever it was is gone. Shall I just show you some knitting? It's like nearly 6 minutes and I've not shown you any knitting. Okay. I've put a square into my large mitre square blanket. That was the needle falling on the floor. I'd forgotten I'd wrapped it up in it. So I'm knitting this with the Birthstone Collection variegated yarn each month. So that's May's one gone in. And I'm ahead of myself this month. Last month it took me a while, and yeah, I'm ahead of myself this month. So that's the Emerald variegated for May gone in. And I have to say, I'm holding it up like this in the hope that you will agree with me. I think I'm going to have to make something out of this yarn. I really love the colour, and I think, you know I like green, and I think it's a shade that suits me. Though you probably can't tell because it's like twilight in here, but yeah. So I got that done. That took longer than you might imagine. And then I've worked on a couple of teas. In between times, I've been continuing with Project Bedsock, which is going very, very slowly. I have just put the heels in the second pair. So I've got 4.5 pairs still to knit. And I really need to knuckle down and just get on with them. Just get them done. Just get them done, and then I don't have to worry about them anymore. So if you're new here and you don't know about Project Bedsock, a friend of my husband's has asked me to secretly make some bedsocks for his wife, because the pairs that she's got that her mum and her grandmother made her are wearing out. And so there was a lot of clandestine messaging to get measurements, and I'm fairly certain I've got all the right measurements, but I've got to knit 6 pairs of socks. He had hoped for them by the end of May. Not possible, but I want to get them to him for Christmas. So I really just need to knuckle down and get them done, because there are things coming up later in the year that I want space to knit, and well, you can't see the pile of project bags that I'm looking at, and let's just say I keep adding to it. So yeah. Right. This is one of the things I've been knitting on, and I've been finding it very, very hard to put this down. This is an adaptation of the Rocket Tee. I am wearing a Rocket Tee. I should probably tell you about what I'm wearing. This one, I think was the 3rd one I made. And I made some adaptations on this one as well. So I've put in the eyelets on this one. The yarn I used was an undyed. The pink is from Amanda at Little Lycac. That was, I think, Montague. The green, which I don't know if you can see, is it's got pinky speckles in it. That was dyed specially for me by my friend Caroline and her son Andrew from the Aria Bark podcast. It was a present one birthday, and it's called Squished Kermit. And I thought it went very, very nicely with the pink. So I basically knit this according to pattern, except that I've made it much, much longer. So it's more let me be honest, I overestimated how much longer I needed to make it. So I can wear it with leggings because it comes right down and covers my backside. I wouldn't go out of the house wearing leggings and this, but I could. I've got it on with jeans today. And what I did was where the stripes, I did, oh, got a seed. I did 2 stripes of each colour, but then when I got further down, let me see if I can, let me hoik up the hem. There you go. As I got further down, I made them wider. I've done, I think, 5 stripes, 5 rows of the coloured stripes, and kept 2 for the undyed. It sounds weird, but it actually looks quite nice. And I thought it might work as kind of an optical illusion and make my hips look smaller. I'm not sure it has done. I'm not sure that much could make my hips look smaller, as I've been blessed with childbearing hips. But I like it. I love the colours in it, and yeah. It's probably the one I wear the most, quite honestly. So this is also a rocket tee by Tanis Laverley, who is Tanis Fibre Arts. And this one I've also adapted. So I'm knitting it with the Twilight Gradient set from my Skies and Vibes collection. And I've lost track of which colour I'm on to now. Must be on to 7. Colour 7. So I've worked through the yellows, the pinks, and I'm now moving into the purples. And the adaptation I've made is I have replaced the eyelet increases with left and right increases. And I still think that looks quite a nice, neat, still makes a bit of a feature of the raglan, but there's less potential for me to go horribly wrong and end up having to pull it back, which is what's happened with one that's over there that I want to tackle possibly next. So yeah, that's one adaptation. I've also put on, and I'm going to pull these down and redo them in a smaller needle, put a ribbed edging on the sleeves, and I will put a ribbed edging around the neckline, whereas you can see this one, as the pattern suggests, has got an I-cord. And I'm going to put ribbing on the hem as well. The I-cord is fine. I just fancied doing something a little bit different. And I thought, what am I going to do? Should I save some of this, the golden yellow, to do the ribbing? But I've actually got some leftovers of a different colourway that I think will work with it. It's not quite the same, but I think it will be similar enough, because obviously this goes through, I think, 3, if not 4 different colours. So it will tone in, it will blend. I think it will be fine. So that's that one. It's been very hard to put down, and it's knitting up quickly because there's only 20 grams of each colour, and I just want to get on to the next colour each time. So I am, yeah, kind of whizzing through it. I was, where are we? There last time you saw it, so I've done all of this sort of from there. And I'll show you the back. There's always hope that this might end up being my thumbnail. I doubt it will. But yeah. I should have got the hanger again, shouldn't I? Oh look, it's right here. I left it there so I'd be able to reach it and then forgot about it. Yeah. So that's the back. The lines look quite, the change in the colours look quite obvious on screen. They're not that obvious to the naked eye. That one maybe, because you've got quite a bright pink line there, but the rest blend in a bit better. So yeah, really loving this. I love this colourway. This colourway has been very popular as well. So yeah, that's the progress on my rocket tee. I'd like to say I'll have it finished next week, and I might even do that, but we'll have to see. That's that one. And then I've done a little bit of work on my Stephen West treasure trove wrap, but not enough to make it worth showing you because it's all still the same colour. It's just longer than it was, so I'll show you that again when I change colour, I think. And this I'm also working on. This is the Breezeway by Fogbound Knits or Laura Ayler. All the patterns will be linked below. And this I'm knitting with a cake from Yarn Mixology that I bought at the Sodbury Yarn Over. I bought two, in fact. This one is Moonstone hanger. Honestly, I'm like a goldfish. Just makes it so much easier because I only need one hand to hold it and then I can pull the thing down to show you. So you can probably see, even though the light is pretty poor, that the colour's changing. That's where I was last time I showed it to you. I split for the sleeves, literally. It was the last thing I did last night, was split for the sleeves. So there's just really the row that involves the splitting. I've not done any more after that. I'm kind of messing around with this pattern because of the way it's constructed. I thought it would be a good one to play around with. I can get the rocket tee to fit relatively nicely, as you can see. My upper bust measurement is a lot smaller than my full bust measurement, and round nut yokes, I end up with a load of fabric, extra fabric here. So I've been messing about with finding the right recipe for getting a yoke, a round yoke, to fit me. So I'm using this as my experiment piece. Because of the way it's constructed, it's made it quite easy to mess about with the increases and what have you. So I can't say too much because it's a paid for pattern and it would give away how the increases are done. But one of the things I've done is to increase the number of stitches that I've cast on at the underarm. For my size, or the size that I'm making, there should have been 8 and I've put in 20. So that should give me an extra, probably an extra couple of inches there where I need it, rather than having it all up here. I've knit this before twice. The first one I knit is too big. It falls off my shoulder. I knit it to my full bust measurement and it was too big. The second one I knit, I did 2 sizes smaller, maybe even 3 sizes smaller, and it fits much better, and there is enough stretch in it for my upper bust, but because I didn't adjust the length, it comes up a bit short. So I want to sort all that out, get it to fit upper bust, full bust and the right length. Then I've got a recipe because I'm desperate to do some colourwork sweaters and I need to sort out this upper bust, full bust discrepancy before I can do that and then get something that I'm happy with the fit. Because colourwork sweaters by necessity are usually circular yokes. So yeah, we need to sort that out. But I'm quite hopeful that this is working as it should. It's a bit hard to see because it's scrunched up on a needle, but not a needle. Yes, a needle. Between the needle and the hanger, you can't really see what's going on. You'll have to take my word for it. So yeah, and I don't know how well the camera's picking up the colour change. The yarn from Yarn Mixology, it's a cotton acrylic and it changes very slowly. I think you can see. one thread at a time. It's made up of 4 single strands and it changes one thread at a time, so you get a really gentle blend of colour. And I've just started, I think the brown is coming in now. I think I'm down to half brown and half blue. This colourway is called Moonstone and it ends up brown. It's quite a light brown there, but it will end up almost a chocolatey brown. And I thought that would be a nice kind of autumny, goes with jeans, kind of a top. So yeah. So that really is all I've been knitting. I was challenged by the lady on the stand because I bought the two cakes. The other one I bought, what's it called? Temptation, and it's all purples. And I can't decide whether to make another one of these or a rocket tea. I was challenged to have them both finished for the Southern Wool Show, so I need to get on with that. I have bought my tickets to the Southern Wool Show and I have sorted out overnight accommodation, or we have sorted out overnight accommodation, because it's lucky Dave, it's our silver wedding anniversary the week before, and so for our silver wedding anniversary I'm taking Dave to a yarn show. Not for 1 but for 2 days. Lucky man. Yeah, so I'm quite excited, but I need to get them both finished so I can wear one day and the other the following day. So that's all I've got to show you knitting wise. I've done a little bit more on my crocheted square for the tabard. I want them in all the colours now. I want to do all the colours. I can see their potential as, you know, an over a blouse or over a t-shirt or a long sleeve t-shirt. So I just need one in all the colours. So I'm afraid you may have to put up with me knitting rocket tees, breezeways and crocheting tabards until I get bored. Could take a while because there are many colour combinations and it's the colour that keeps me interested. So yeah, this podcast may be about to get even more boring than it usually is. I look very windswept. I've just realised this bit of hair, this is my baby hair that grows no longer than that. Doesn't matter what I do. It's quite windy today and I did walk up. It's all uphill as well. I'm very pleased with myself. Derailed myself again. I don't remember. Something about colours. Before I do go, because this is very, very short, and I am sorry about that, but there just isn't much for me to show you. I've had a few comments asking about Poppy, and I've not been giving Poppy updates because really I'd just be telling you the same thing every week, and it's just a little bit miserable. So if you've not been here before, or if you've joined in the last few months, Poppy is my co-host. She has been very, very poorly. She had pancreatitis at the beginning of the year, January, sort of over Christmas, beginning of January, she developed pancreatitis. And apparently cats can get anorexic and very easily. And really that's what they think has happened with Poppy. She would eat ham, roast chicken, roast beef. She will not eat cat food. She will not eat cat biscuits. She will not eat any of the special food that she's meant to eat because of the inflamed pancreas. Well, that flare-up seems to have gone, but it's left her very weak. If you saw her, you would think she was like a 20-year-old cat. whereas in actual fact she'll be 5 in a couple of weeks. She's still a very young cat. She's not washing herself. She doesn't want to come out of her bed. And Dave and I had a long conversation about what was best for her. And really, what we came down to was she's a young cat. And we've got to try and get her out of this almost like depression that she's in. So the weather turned. We've been taking her out into the garden. Literally, Dave carries her out into the garden, puts her down. Sometimes she will sit there for a minute or two. Other times something spooks her and she runs back inside. But that's okay because she's using her legs. And she's got to the point where she's so weak and wobbly that she's got no strength in her back legs. So really, I suppose we're trying to rehab her. We're moving her about the house so that she has to walk back to her bed. Dave was giving her her food sort of in the entrance to her bed. She's got kind of a furry igloo, and we've stopped doing that. We started moving it further and further away so that she had to come out, and now she comes right out. And she will go for a little wander from, she's got several beds. They've all got several beds. And she will now wander from bed to bed, whereas before she wouldn't come out of her bed for anything. We were having to carry her to the litter tray, to toilet and what have you. And there's no medical reason why she's like that. She's just got into... I'm sure she's depressed. And physically, and I've been in the same position, if you don't use it, you lose it. And so she feels wobbly, she feels vulnerable, so she doesn't want to come out. So we're kind of being a bit cruel to be kind. We're making her walk about, we're making her get the strength and the circulation back in her legs. And touch wood, it does seem to be working. She has made a bit of an improvement. She even seems more alert and brighter in herself. And one of the things was she would not drink water. She ended up in hospital, animal hospital, beginning of April, end of March, because she was so dehydrated. She ended up in hospital over the weekend on an IV because she will not drink water. And the amount of water she was getting from what she was eating wasn't enough. And we started having to give her cat milk because she would drink that. But obviously that's not ideal. And then we had a real breakthrough a couple of nights ago. Saturday night, Sunday night. She drank some water. And then she sat next to the water bowl and she had about, I don't know, 7 or 8 little drinks. She'd have a little drink and then 5 minutes later she'd have another one, and then 10 minutes later she'd have another one. And it's such a breakthrough because part of the reason her legs are so wobbly, the vet tells us, is that she hasn't been using them. And partly it's because she's dehydrated and that makes them wobbly on their legs. So that's a huge thing. We're a little bit more hopeful than we were. She's not cleaning herself, so we're having to wash her face and wash her little feet and, you know, brush her. But a couple of times she's washed a paw or she's, you know, washed her face. So it's all looking like we might be moving in the right direction. But really, I don't want to every week be saying there's no change. Poppy's still poorly. Poppy still won't come out of her bed. Poppy this, Poppy that. So thank you those of you who have asked. I know she's well loved. She has fans around the world. And I really didn't think that we would still have her by this time. So yeah, we are a lot more hopeful than we were. And who knows, we might even get her back on the podcast before the end of the year. But I don't want to show her to you at the moment because it would be distressing. It's distressing for us. And, you know, she was such a bossy little cat, and her personality isn't showing at all at the moment. So, yeah, when she's a bit better, she'll be back. So, yeah, that's a big Poppy update, and it's why I haven't been giving them every week, because, yeah, I didn't want to just keep saying to you, there's no change. She still won't come out of her bed. She still won't do this. But, yeah, now there is a bit of a change, and it is hopefully a positive change. I thought I would update you, especially as a couple of people have asked, how is she? I hope she's okay. So, yeah, so now you know. Right. I believe it is time that I got up and walked again. My watch doesn't seem to take into account that I've done a great big walk today. So, you're all updated on my fitness regime, the little bit of knitting that I've done, and cat health update. So I think that's everything. So I'm going to go, and I will see you next week. I'm sure I don't have to tell you anything else. I know, I remember. My friend Sally, who is also going to the Southern Wool Show, suggested that I run a knit along for a Breezeway tea. Now, I don't know if she meant just within our friend group or whether she meant in general. I'm assuming she meant in general, because if it were just within our friend group, then Sally could do it. And Sally's not one to delegate. I'm not saying she's bossy, but she and Poppy came out the same mould. So, you know I love you, Sally. Yeah, if you would be interested in that, comment and let me know, and I'll open a thread on Ravelry. Those of us that are liable to be meeting up at the Southern Wool Show, because I'm going to be there both days now. And so is poor Dave. Oh. I suppose one day he could just drop me off and go and do his own thing if he didn't want to wander around. Or talk to Hayley at Ducky Darling's husband, whose name escapes me for the moment. You know what I'm like. He was very, very interested by the circular sock machine. I could see I could lose him to a circular sock machine. But anyway, that's not till September. So, let me know if you would like a Breezeway knit along, even if you're not coming, if anybody fancies doing it. Yeah, and other than that, I will see you next week. So, until then, happy knitting. Hope your weather's kind to you. And yeah, see you next week. Bye.